15 million girls getting married every year before the age of 18. So that means every 2 seconds, somewhere in the world, a girl under the age of 18.
What could make a man give up his rightful title? Could it be love? Or was there some higher force at play? Sometimes, love clouds people's reasoning so much that they do the most unreasonable things. In the case of Prince Johan Friso, he chose to bid the title goodbye rather than get separated from something he believed in. Today, we will examine why Prince Johan gave up his title and what happened to him thereafter. The prince who followed his heart. First, let's get to know this man who did the unthinkable and damned all consequences. Prince Johan Friso was born on the 25th of October, 1968 in Utrecht. He was the second son of Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands and Prince Claus. Unlike his elder brother, Willem-Alexander, who was the crown prince and was meant to ascend the throne, Johan Friso enjoyed a certain degree of freedom in his royal duties. This allowed him to explore his personal and professional interests without restrictions. From an early age, Johan Friso showed a keen intellect and an interest in academic pursuits. He attended secondary school at the prestigious Barnes Lyceum and did extremely well in mathematics and science. His passion for learning led him to Delft University of Technology, where he studied aerospace engineering. Prince Johan later pursued a Master of Business Administration, MBA, at France's renowned INSEAD Business School. His commendable academic achievements earned him respect inside and outside royal circles. Despite being a prince, Johan Friso was known for his humility and work ethic. He chose to work in private industries, including a position at the global investment bank Goldman Sachs. Later, he became the financial director of Urenco, a company specializing in uranium enrichment. These roles showed his dedication to building a career based on merit rather than royal privilege. For a man who had spent his early years chasing academic excellence, it was finally time to dabble in the dating pool. That was when he met Mabel Wisse Smit. Mabel was a Dutch human rights activist and political science graduate from the University of Amsterdam. She was known for her advocacy for international justice and her work with organizations such as the Open Society Foundations, which George Soros founded. At first, their relationship began quietly, but it wasn't long before the media and public took notice. Mabel was admired for her intelligence and passion for humanitarian causes. However, her past became a point of contention when reports surfaced of her acquaintance with a known Dutch substance lord by the name of Klaas Bruinsma, a man he met during her university years. Mabel didn't lie about this. Everyone has a past life. However, she put her foot down and said she wasn't inappropriately involved with Bruinsma. The discovery caused a media frenzy, with tabloids and newspapers sniffing around for an exclusive. The controversy put the couple under immense pressure and clouded their relationship. Nevertheless, Johan Friso stood by Mabel, publicly defending her character and integrity. The royal family was not left out as they faced the difficult decision of standing by their son or protecting the royal image. If Prince Johan had come from an ordinary family, it might not be a big issue. But a royal family news is the type the media will go over the top to get a scoop. Under Dutch law, members of the royal house must seek parliamentary approval to marry and retain their place in the line of succession. After careful deliberation, the Dutch government, influenced by the media uproar, decided to decline their marriage request. This meant that if Johan Friso chose to marry Mabel, he would lose his title as a member of the royal house and his position in the line of succession. Why is this so? Let's find out. The Dutch Constitution and the decision to marry without consent. Every country has its peculiar rule of law. The royal family operates under a constitutional monarchy in the Netherlands, where rules regarding succession and royal duties are clearly defined. One rule is that members of the royal house must obtain Parliament's approval for their marriage. This law ensures that royal unions align with the nation's interests and maintain the integrity of the monarchy. This means that no royal member can marry anyone because they choose to. Approval must be sought, after which due diligence will be made. If the Parliament is satisfied with their inquiries and discovery, they will give a formal go-ahead. If not, the couples are to part ways. This looks simple enough. The only problem is the grave punishment of disobeying and following your heart. The Dutch constitution explicitly states that without Parliament's consent, a royal family member forfeits their position in the line of succession and ceases to be a part of the royal house. Though rooted in tradition, this law also shows the importance of public trust in the monarchy. In Johan Friso's case, the government's refusal to approve his marriage to Mabel Wisse Smit created a constitutional and personal dilemma. Mabel's past association with Klaus Bruinsma became a huge factor in the government's decision. While she acknowledged knowing Bruinsma during her university years, Mabel consistently denied inappropriate involvement. Despite her explanation, the controversy triggered intense public scrutiny and political debate. The Dutch Prime Minister at the time, Jan-Peter Balkenende, declared that the government could not provide consent due to concerns about Mabel's past associations. Since the verdict had been made, it was left to Johan to decide, which was the beginning of his woes. After much deliberation, Johan Friso decided with clarity and conviction to choose her heartthrob, Mabel, over all else. On the 24th of April, 2004, the couple married in a private ceremony in Delft. It was attended by close family members, friends, and international dignitaries. By proceeding with the marriage without parliamentary approval, Johan Friso willingly gave up his place in the line of succession and his status as a member of the Dutch royal house. Although he was no longer formally part of the royal house, Johan Friso retained his title of Prince of Orange-Nassau and membership in the broader royal family. His children, however, were not considered members of the royal house and did not hold any succession rights. In interviews and public statements, Johan Friso expressed no regret over his choice. As he explained to Dutch magazine Het Parool, "I loved Mabel, and I believed in her. To me, our love was worth more than a title or position." His actions were seen as a powerful statement about the importance of personal happiness over institutional duty. While Johan Friso's decision was met with mixed reactions, many admired his courage to prioritize his personal life over royal expectations. The Dutch newspaper NRC Handelsblad wrote, "In a monarchy where duty often comes first, Johan Friso chose love. His choice was not just a personal one, but also a message about the evolving nature of royalty in modern times." Marriage and life outside the royal spotlight. After stepping away from royal duties, the one he willingly gave up in the name of love, Johan Friso transitioned into a life that offered fewer ceremonial obligations and more professional freedom. Since he was no longer bound by the expectations of a royal house member, he was free to carve any path that pleased him. For starters, Johan Friso pursued a successful career in investment banking, a field he had been passionate about since his university days. He worked with various prestigious financial institutions, including Goldman Sachs, where he honed his expertise in corporate finance. Later, he joined Urenco, a company specializing in uranium enrichment. As chief financial officer of Urenco, Johan Friso played an important role in managing the company's global operations by focusing on energy sustainability and security. In interviews, colleagues described him as a dedicated professional with a sharp intellect and a natural ability to lead. A former coworker told the Financial Times, "Friso's royal background was irrelevant in the boardroom. He earned respect through his knowledge, work ethic, and ability to see solutions where others saw problems." Although his role at Urenco kept him busy, Johan Friso found satisfaction in the intellectual challenges it presented and the opportunity to contribute to a critical sector. Looking at it now, it was a stark contrast to the ceremonial responsibilities he had left behind. But then it suited his personality and ambition. While Johan Friso built his career, he and Mabel Wisse Smit created a family-oriented life away from the public eye. They knew that to avoid unnecessary media attention, they needed to move away from home, and that was exactly what they did. The couple chose London as their home, where they could enjoy relative anonymity. The couple has 2 daughters whom they love and cherish. Their first daughter, Countess Luana of Orange-Nassau, was born on 26th of March 2005 in London. She is the eldest daughter of Prince Friso and Princess Mabel of Orange-Nassau, and is a member of the Dutch royal family. She attended Sevenoaks School, a coeducational private school in Kent, England. Although Countess Luana is a distant member of the line of succession to the British throne, her position is beyond the 800th. However, by royal decree issued on the 19th of March 2004, it was determined that Luana and her sister would carry the hereditary titles of Countess of Orange-Nassau and Jonkvrouwe van Amsberg, with the family name Van Orange-Nassau van Amsberg. Her sister, Countess Zaria of Orange-Nassau, Jonkvrouwe van Amsberg, was born on the 18th of June 2006 in London as the second and youngest child of Prince Friso and Princess Mabel of Orange-Nassau. Zaria's given names carry meaningful connections. Joanna's first name honors her father, Johan Friso, while Zaria references the Slavonian goddess of beauty and light. Since birth, Zaria has been formally styled as her highborn Lady Zaria of Orange-Nassau. Although not part of the Dutch royal house, she remains a recognized member of the Dutch royal family. Family life was an important part of Johan Friso's happiness. Despite his demanding professional schedule, he made it a duty to spend time with Mabel and their children. Weekends often involved family outings in London's parks or trips to the countryside. Friends of the couple noted that Friso was a devoted father who valued nurturing his daughter's curiosity and interests. As for Mabel, she shared his commitment to humanitarian causes by working actively on global advocacy projects, which included her role in combating child marriage through organizations like Girls Not Brides. Together, they were able to strike a balance between work and family to encourage a supportive and loving environment for their daughters. You are wondering if Prince Johan severed ties with his family in the Netherlands. Well, he didn't. At least not fully. While Johan Friso and Mabel lived away from the royal spotlight, their connection to the Dutch royal family remained intact. They often visited the Netherlands for family gatherings and important royal events that required him to be present. This also ensured that their daughters maintained ties to their background. The Dutch magazine De Telegraaf once described their life as a blend of ordinary and extraordinary, where love and values define their world more than titles or palaces. The avalanche accident. For every bright sky, there is always a streak of clouds. The same thing can be said in the life of man. When things seem to be going too well, it is often advised to be watchful because tragedy might just be lurking in the corner. For Johan and his family, the dark cloud in their silver cloud came on the 7th of February, 2012, when tragedy struck. It was a day that would not be forgotten so soon, at least for his wife and daughters. Johan Friso was on a skiing trip in Lech, Austria, a location long favored by the Dutch royal family for winter vacations. The prince has always been known for his adventurous spirit. Not only that, he was an experienced skier who enjoyed challenging slopes. However, that day, the prince ventured into an off-piste area known to be high risk due to heavy snowfall and the potential for avalanches. While skiing with a friend, an avalanche suddenly swept through the area. Johan Friso was buried under the snow for approximately 25 minutes before rescuers managed to locate him using an avalanche beacon. Even though efforts were made to pull him from the snow quickly, the prolonged lack of oxygen had devastating consequences. Emergency responders performed CPR on the scene and transported him to a hospital in Innsbruck via helicopter. As expected, an incident involving a royal member made headlines worldwide. BBC News reported it as a tragic accident involving a beloved member of the Dutch royal family. The severity of the situation became clear as updates from the hospital described his condition as life-threatening. Doctors revealed that Johan Friso had suffered severe brain damage due to oxygen deprivation. He was placed in a medically induced coma to stabilize his condition, but the prognosis was grim. Specialists indicated that his chances of regaining consciousness were uncertain, and that if he did wake up, he would likely face a lot of impairments. The news was as unbearable as possible for the Dutch royal family and the public. Queen Beatrix immediately traveled to Austria to be by her son's side, while Mabel, devastated by the accident, remained at the hospital around the clock. Johan Friso's daughters, Luana and Zaria, were shielded from the full gravity of the situation. Due to their age and the fragility of their minds, family members strived hard to maintain a sense of normalcy for them. The accident received extensive media coverage, with outlets like The Guardian and Der Spiegel discussing the technical details of the rescue and the emotional toll on the royal family. In a rare public statement, the Dutch royal house expressed gratitude for the support and well wishes it received worldwide. Over the next several months, Johan Friso remained in a vegetative state. He showed minimal signs of brain activity, but throughout this period, he lacked nothing, as his wife and other royal family members stood by him. Eventually, he was transferred to a specialized care facility in London, where Mabel could be near him while caring for their young daughters. The accident deeply affected the Dutch royal family, with his mother visibly distraught during public appearances. For the Dutch people, it was a somber moment that opened people's eyes once again to the fragility of life, even for someone as privileged and accomplished as Johan Friso. While covering the accident, De Volkskrant described it as a heart-wrenching event that robbed the Netherlands of a brilliant mind and a cherished royal figure. The public and media reaction. The skiing accident that left Johan Friso in critical condition became a major news story worldwide. Media outlets like CNN, The Guardian, and the Dutch newspaper De Telegraaf covered the incident. They focused on the details of the avalanche, the prince's condition, and the efforts of medical teams. Headlines such as "Dutch Prince Buried in Avalanche, Condition Critical" captured the seriousness of the situation and attracted global attention to the tragedy. In the Netherlands, even though Johan was no longer an official member of the royal family, the news deeply moved the public. From the looks of things, he was still seen as an integral part of the royal family. His decision to marry for love had endeared him to many, and his reputation as an intelligent and humble royal made his accident even more heartbreaking. Vigils were held nationwide, and thousands of messages of support flooded social media and official royal channels. Internationally, other royal families, world leaders, and public figures sympathized. King Harald of Norway and Queen Margrethe of Denmark, both relatives of Johan Friso, sent personal messages of support. Also, through Buckingham Palace, Queen Elizabeth II extended condolences on behalf of the British royal family. While all this was happening, the Dutch royal family had to make a strong plea for privacy during Johan Friso's recovery. In a statement released shortly after the accident, they expressed gratitude for the outpouring of love and prayers. Still, they also clarified that they wished to handle the situation privately. The statement reads, "The family wishes to focus solely on Prince Friso's care and recovery and kindly asks that their privacy be respected during this difficult time." Despite the family's requests, the incident was too big for the media to ignore, especially tabloids and international outlets. At one point, photographers and journalists descended on Innsbruck and later London, eager for updates. To protect Johan Friso and his family, hospital staff were instructed to maintain strict confidentiality, and security around his care facilities was heightened. As a mother rather than a monarch, Queen Beatrix appeared visibly emotional during her limited public engagements following the accident. Dutch media largely respected the family's wishes, with publications like NOS and De Volkskrant refraining from sensationalist reporting. However, international tabloids, particularly in the United Kingdom, faced criticism for their invasive coverage, which occasionally breached the family's privacy. The royal family's handling of the situation earned widespread admiration. Many praised their ability to maintain composure and focus on Johan Friso's well-being, despite the intense public and media invasion. The incident increased the Dutch's deep respect and empathy for the monarchy. Other princes who married ordinary women. Whenever people talk about Prince Johan Friso and how he gave up his title for the woman he loved, people can't help but wonder if his tragic end had anything to do with it. Similarly, they talk about other royal entities who married ordinary people and ended with rather sad stories. While it is true that fairy tales are replete with princes who married commoners to prove their heart desires, reality is not always so kind. In real life, the pressures of royalty and public scrutiny often turn these unions into stories of heartbreak and tragedy. Let's look at a few notable examples of princes who married ordinary women. The first pair that come to mind is Prince Charles and Lady Diana Spencer. Although Diana Spencer was technically an aristocrat, she was still considered an ordinary woman in royal circles. She married Charles, the Prince of Wales, on the 29th of July, 1981. Their wedding was dubbed the wedding of the century, given how millions worldwide watched it. However, behind the glittering facade, the marriage was fraught with issues. Charles eventually succumbed to an extramarital affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. This significantly strained Diana, who struggled to adapt to royal life. The couple separated in 1992 and divorced. Sadly, Diana died in a car crash in Paris in 1997. According to Vanity Fair, Diana's death was not just a personal tragedy, it was a public reckoning about the costs of being a royal under constant surveillance. Another couple is Prince Joachim of Denmark and Alexandra Manly. Prince Joachim of Denmark married Alexandra Manly, a Hong Kong-born marketing executive in 1985. Their union was celebrated as a modern fairy tale, with Alexandra adapting quickly to her royal role. She became loved in Denmark and was admired for her grace and charity work. Despite the public success, the couple announced their separation in 2004. It was the first Danish royal couple to divorce in nearly 150 years. In the following years, Joachim remarried Princess Marie, and Alexandra stepped back from royal duties. According to Hello magazine, Alexandra admitted later that the constant pressures of royal life took a toll on their relationship. Also, Prince Andrew, Duke of York, married Sarah Ferguson, a commoner with a background in public relations, in 1986. She was known affectionately as Fergie because she brought a refreshing energy to the royal family. However, their marriage quickly became tabloid material, with stories of infidelity and financial troubles sitting in the headlines. The couple went their separate ways in 1996, despite maintaining an unusually close relationship. Sarah, in particular, struggled with the aftermath of their divorce as she faced public criticism and financial scandals. The Telegraph said, Fergie's post-divorce life was marked by a series of missteps that confirmed the difficulties of maintaining one's identity after marrying into the royal family. The final years. In July 2012, Johan Friso was transferred to London's Wellington Hospital, closer to his home and family. His wife, Princess Mabel, became his permanent caregiver. It wasn't easy doing this, but she divided her time between working at the hospital and raising their 2 young daughters. Mabel's dedication was evident to those around her. Friends and family described her as a pillar of strength as she managed an undisrupted life for her daughters while dealing with the emotional toll of her husband's condition. On the 12th of August, 2013, Johan Friso passed away at the Huis ten Bosch Palace in The Hague. Even though his injuries were extensive, people were still expecting some kind of miracle as regards his recovery. The news of his death sent waves of sadness around the world. Prince Friso had battled for 18 months. Perhaps he needed the permanent rest. Queen Beatrix, who had abdicated the throne earlier that year, was deeply affected by her son's death. In an official statement, the royal family expressed gratitude for their support throughout Johan Friso's ordeal. We thank everyone who has stood by us during this difficult time and who continues to hold Johan Friso in their thoughts. A private funeral service was held 4 days after his demise on the 16th of August, 2013, at Stolpkirk in Lage Vuursche, near Drakenstein Castle. It was a place Johan Friso spent much of his childhood. Close family and friends attended the funeral service. Tributes poured in from around the world. Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte described Johan Friso as a prince of the people, intelligent and compassionate. King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima also shared heartfelt remarks about Johan Friso's commitment to his family and his brilliance as an individual. International figures, including King Harald of Norway and Queen Margrethe of Denmark, sent condolences. Media outlets, including the New York Times and BBC News, discussed his life as a story of love and sacrifice. For the Netherlands, Johan Friso's passing was not just the loss of a royal, but of a man who had lived his life with authenticity and dedication. He will be remembered for his courage in choosing love over titles. He was a man who prioritized family above all else. More than family and love, Johan Friso was also deeply involved in philanthropic endeavors. Throughout his life, he supported initiatives focused on sustainability and innovation, leveraging his skills and connections to make meaningful contributions. What can you say about Prince Johan Friso? Do you think his tragic end had anything to do with his union with a common woman? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy this video, you should like, share, and subscribe to this channel.